Daily Broadside, day 804. So I was out of town this past weekend for a few days doing some stuff, and I found myself sometime Saturday wandering into a small little town of about 3,700 people. Quaint little village, really. Not much of a town, quite frankly. Although an indescribably large amount of car washes and gas stations for such a small community. Nevertheless, I found myself wandering into a few little trinket stores and whatnot, and I wandered upon a place that had upon its grand yard there outside this old like 1910 house that had been converted into a little gift shop. They had all these whirly gigs and little yard fans and stuff, and then they had like Americana, little Chevrolet and Sinclair oil and Mobil oil and Exxon and Esso, all these old signs and everything. And I said, "Oh, I'm interested." So I walked in, and as soon as I walked in, I realized that there was nothing inside, nothing except African like gifts, trinkets, baubles, fabrics galore, outfits, wear, soapstone, like Kenyan soapstone sculptures and stuff like that, which was fine, no big deal. I don't understand why none of it was outside, and it was called. It didn't have anything to do with Africa, and the name of it is actually a different country altogether, which is on a completely different continent. It's very strange. So I walk in, and it's the old Louis C.K. the cling cling cling, and you walk in, and you're like, and then the lady, I say lady, she looked like she was like 19. The girl working there, who had another employee who was just wandering out and watching me, like I was gonna steal any of this crap. And I thought to myself, I'm like, I'm the only one here, probably only been here all day, and they've got two employees. I'm boggled as to how a business model like this stays alive. Okay, seems to be not that those kind of places can't exist. I just find them difficult to exist in a town of 3,700 people. You're the pool of people that would come there and buy African garb and sculptures and those little face masks that hang on the wall and all that stuff. I would think would be very small. And I looked up the demographics. It's 64.9% white in that area, which further drains the pool of people that would be more likely to buy this stuff. And again, it was very interesting. I spent like 20 minutes wandering through the place. I find all these sculptures, but actually some pretty cool stuff in there. Some of it I could see myself buying if it wasn't ridiculously expensive. It was those arbitrary and capricious numbers on this stuff. You'd see like you pick up this sculpture and it's $590. Like, they're not. I'm like, this better be missing a decibel, because for $590, I'll buy it. For $590, I'm gonna put it back down so I don't drop it. This is crazy. And then they had like everything's made out of beads. Not everything. Some stuff was sculpted and woven and whatnot. But there was like a whole bead section with all these like little baskets that were pretty cool. Like the lid fit perfectly, and they were very well executed. And there had to be like at least 11 million beads in each basket. And I'm thinking to myself, apparently I underestimated how many beads exist in this world, because I don't know where they're coming up with all these. I don't even know how beads are made. I mean, somewhere there's a bead factory in Africa. I don't know. So I just see somebody sitting there and the tedium it would take. I don't know how you pick something like that up. I guess you pick it up with the needle and just keep picking up more. I can't even see, like, if I look at my face in the mirror nowadays, my eyes are so bad, I have to get like glasses just to see what I'm looking at, much less putting beads together in sand. I would think that a lot of people in Africa that are making crafts are in a sand. Like, how do you pick? I'd drop so many beads in the sand. The whole beach would be covered in just beads, because I'd have lost them for my goofy, lack of dexterity and nimble fingers and whatnot, and all. And then I'm like, again, they're paying two people to be here, and if they're paying a minimum wage, there's two people. We're wasting $15 an hour, not to mention what it costs to heat this godforsaken house that's obviously 100 years old or more. And I'm like, no one's bought anything the whole time I've been there, so they just lost money. Like, I don't understand. It seems to me like, how, like in my area, like, I don't know if this is true where you live, but in my area, you ride down the road and you'll see like somebody in the front yard of their house will have a little table set up, and they'll have a cooler, and it'll say eggs. and you just go by there and you open the cooler and you get how many, dozen eggs that obviously were laid by the chickens they're raising at the house. And then you put money in like a little Tupperware container, or, one of those baby white things that is empty, and you just put the money in there. It's just an honor system, right? I don't know what's happening with the old bird flu egg epidemic that's going on right now, but for the most part, those eggs are fairly affordable. You get like a dozen eggs for like $2 or something. It's way cheaper in the store. I don't even know what eggs cost. Anyway, I think that's probably how the African store should probably operate. They probably don't need anybody, in there wasting overhead, and I don't think anybody needs to ask any questions, because anybody that would come in there that would want any of that stuff would already know what they were looking for. Nobody's going to wander in there and be like, oh, I had no idea what this was. Could you give me some advice on what I should buy? I'm looking for a gift idea for my niece. Like none of those questions are going to be asked. So if nothing else, just leave a little table at the front of the store that says, leave your cash in the little baby white box here for all your African stuff, and whatever it costs, you leave there. And if you got any phone questions, there's a number right here you can call and we'll answer. If you need gift ideas for your niece. But it was crazy. It was crazy. And fascinating all at the same time. I mean, there's pretty cool stuff in there. And you got to think to yourself, like if that place moved, this is probably it's a 1-story house that's got to be like 6 major rooms. And, back then the rooms were, 20 by 20. It's a big house, right? Relative to what it is, especially for a gift store. Big house, you got to figure, I'm just going to say 1,800 square feet, and it's probably a lot bigger than that. But 1,800 square feet just slam full of gifts from Africa, from the mother continent, right? That like hanging on the walls, and these are like 12-foot ceilings. It's crazy, like 12-foot ceilings. And so all the way to the ceiling, every piece of wall, every piece of counter space, every piece of furniture, and there's just covered with gifts and fabric and beaded this and beaded that, and Kenyan soapstone carved this and Kenyan soap carved that. So just stare everywhere. I mean, like they had taken like beer cans and, cut out and made a little bicycle. There's a little bicycle beer can, and I'm like, I don't understand what I would do with it. I mean, it's cool. It really is, but I don't know what I would do with it. And yet I can't imagine when that business model goes under, because absent it being funded by, like, it's like a front to, launder money, or there's just like an amazingly popular thing that happens that doesn't happen on the weekend, where people come in during the week and just buy tons of the stuff that I just didn't get to see because I was there on a Saturday. Absent those two things happening, they're going to have to shut down one day. And I would just as soon donate everything to whoever landlords that place and just be like, it's yours. I'm not packing all this stuff up. It would take me at least 7 people would take 4 weeks to pack all this crap up. It would cost me at least like $300,000 in bubble wrap and cardboard and tape, and I just don't have the time in my life, so it's all yours. So whoever landlords that place that's renting it to them, they're going to one day come into a huge inventory that they didn't ask for when they signed that lease with that person. It's crazy. I don't understand how stuff like that survives. I hope it does. Like I said, it's some cool stuff, but it just boggles my mind that businesses like that can continue. That's all I really had for now.